Hi everybody, guess what I'm making for you today? Aunt Marty's Irish stew. And you're going to discover it really isn't what it sounds like. But that's the way I am. Now, first to begin with, I've cut up a couple of carrots and I have them in a pot of hot water, and I'm going to cut up my third carrot. My reason behind this is because the carrots take so much longer to cook, so I want to get them kind of parboiled before we really start making the soup. Now in the meantime, I have my big stock pot going over here, and I'm just going to add some olive oil to this, about a tablespoon or so. You can kind of eyeball it. And then I have some Italian link sausage, about a pound. Now I like my sausage hot, but you can use mild or medium, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to just let this start browning up. So while my meat is browning, I'm just going to chop up some onion and garlic. And the soup that I'm making today is one that I've made for many years. But this winter, when we started the cooking cream competition, I decided to take my soup recipe and incorporate the Kraft Philadelphia Italian cheese and herb cooking cream, and that was going to be my first submission for the competition. And the soup turned out beautiful, but unfortunately I didn't have real good technical abilities, and as a result I couldn't get the video that I wanted, so I wasn't able to submit it. But when you taste this soup with the Italian cheese and herb cooking cream, you're going to think you died and went to heaven. It is absolutely delicious. So I'm going to finish chopping here, and we're going to turn the meat, and then we'll come right back. My sausage links are kind of brown, so I'm just going to bring them right over here to my cutting board, because I want to get them sliced up. In the meantime, I finished chopping my onion and garlic, so I'm going to put that in here and let it soften up a little bit while I slice up the sausage. Slice these sausages. I can do it without having them fall apart. Now I guess it doesn't matter if it falls apart, but I like to have just little chunks of meat in there. Instead of having it ground. And I'm actually going to get my other knife that I like better. This is my favorite utensil in this house. I'm always asking, where's my little brown knife? Because it has a serrated edge and it makes it really easy. Now what we're going to do is slice this up and put it back in the pan and let these brown just a little bit more before we add everything else. Now while the sausage was browning, I also cut up some red peppers, actually one large red pepper, and a green pepper, only in this case I'm using a poblano chili pepper. I just think they have a lot more flavor than a regular green bell pepper, but you can use a green bell pepper as well. And we're going to get those in there. And then my carrots are basically fork tender, as you can see. I've drained them, and I'm going to get them in there. I just want to get it mixed in. Now I'm going to add a 14.5-ounce can of diced tomatoes. And I have about 3 cups of chicken broth. We're going to get that all stirred in. And I'm going to increase my heat because now I want to bring it up to a boil. Now you may be wondering why I call this Aunt Marty's Irish stew, because it appears to be quite Italian, especially since I'm using the Italian cheese and herb. Well, we call it this because my family is Irish, and every year we go to my sister's for the St. Patrick's Day parade, and we all march in the parade. once it's over, we go back to her house and we gorge on corned beef and cabbage and all those kinds of Irish foods. Well, this year it was a cold, rainy, windy, miserable day, and I decided that instead of trying to come up with some Irish recipe that I don't know, that I would make my go-to soup, especially since I knew that now it's triply delicious with my Italian cheese and herb cooking cream combined in it. So I made this soup and I brought it, and everybody laughed at me because it wasn't Irish, but my young niece Mackenzie decided that it was actually Aunt Marty's Irish stew. So that's what I'm making, is my Irish stew. Okay, we let the soup simmer for about 10 minutes, and I removed it from the hot burner, and I'm going to take the lid off it and let it just cool down just a little bit. Oh boy, oh, that smells delicious. Smells very Irish stewish. Now I'm going to take my Italian cheese and herb cooking cream, and I'm going to use about half a tub. Oh baby. This is going to make this soup unbelievable. Pardon my fingers. Get this mixed up a little bit here. I'm going to put it right here in my bowl. It's about half, I think. And now I'm going to take some of the liquid from my soup, and I'm going to add it to the cooking cream to temper it. And this is just so that when I add it back into the pot of soup, it doesn't break up and not work out the way we want it to. So I'm just going to stir it in a little bit and incorporate some of this heat into the cooking cream. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. So now it's used to the heat. And I'm going to put it all right back in the pot of soup. We'll just stir it right in there. Get it all mixed in. Isn't that pretty with all those colors? I'm going to let this sit here for a minute while I get out my next ingredient. And we'll be right back. My last ingredient, which is some fresh tricolor tortellini, and this is cheese tortellini. And I like to use the fresh mainly because it tastes great, but also it'll cook faster than frozen tortellini will. So I'll just stir it in quickly. And I'm going to put a lid on the pan, and we'll let this cook for about 5 minutes until the tortellinis are done. Aunt Marty's Irish stew is finished. And look at how gorgeous it is. With the different vegetables, the peppers, and the tortellinis, and the sausage, and that creamy sauce, thanks to the Kraft Philadelphia cooking cream. Now I'm just going to garnish it with a little bit of basil. And some Kraft Parmesan cheese. Now, you know, they laughed at me when I brought this for St. Patrick's Day, but there was not a drop left when I brought this bowl home. And that's all thanks to the Italian urban cheese cooking cream. So I think I better rename this and maybe call it Aunt Marty's not quite Irish